Mangroves are a hugely important player in the global system. They are essentially this incredible tangled mess of coastal forests that thrive in salty tidal water. Globally, there are around 73 different species and hybrids of mangroves, covering around 150,000 square kilometres, mostly found in the tropics, and they provide so many ecosystem services. They are a coastal buffer, protecting inland areas from storm surges. They're biodiversity hotspots, servicing life below the water as well as above the water, providing food for communities that rely on them. We could go on forever talking about the weight that rests on the shoulders of mangroves.
So the soils where mangroves are growing are very rich in organic material, and so they are very important in terms of sequestering carbon and playing a role in mitigating climate change.
In fact, just in the Amazon, mangroves store twice as much carbon as the rainforest itself. However, 25% of mangroves have been lost in the last 50 years. This is mainly due to anthropogenic causes. This includes harvesting of mangroves for logging, conversion of mangroves into ponds for aquaculture, coastal development and pollution.
Looking into the future, sea level rise will become a more prominent threat as well, because obviously these trees, they grow in intertidal areas, so they can cope with inundation. They've been adapted to that. But of course, thinking about sea level rise, thinking about the IPCC projections of sea level rise by 2100 or beyond, mangrove trees and the ecosystems will suffer from that. Because if the trees are becoming inundated for too long, they cannot cope.
Not only does this risk decimation of the entire ecosystem, but it will have huge ramifications for those whose livelihoods depend on it. So, what can be done? How can we reverse this alarming trend? Typically, when it comes to mangrove restoration, it doesn't actually involve the planting of the mangroves. What it does rely on is the mangrove's innate strength to recolonise. Essentially, if the conditions are right, the mangroves will restore themselves.
So humans can build these type of structures to help the mangroves and to give them a little bit of a hand there. And these type of techniques are very much needed, and they're advancing, so that's promising.
So as each mangrove habitat differs, their unique ecology and hydrology needs to be thoroughly assessed. What are the current patterns of reproduction? Is the bed level high enough? What are the rates of input of water, nutrients and sediment? And how are these things reaching the mangroves? Only once questions such as these have been asked should intervention begin, ensuring that the conditions are suitable for natural recolonisation. Dredging or filling tidal zones can be used to recreate hydrological connections, and permeable dams have been seen to be effective in trapping sediment. Positive results have been seen in parts of Florida, Costa Rica and Southeast Asia. Yet, scaling up these efforts is going to be essential, and their success cannot just rely on science. Organisations including the Global Mangrove Alliance show the need for sufficient policy and legal frameworks, ensuring that mangrove restoration is a priority and top of national agendas. Also, communities dependent on mangrove habitats need to be at the heart of decision making, driving local focused conservation and rehabilitation initiatives.
Studies have shown that actually direct human-induced losses are declining. And that offers some hope, that perhaps suggests that we're becoming more aware. Nationally, there are more initiatives in terms of protecting and restoring mangrove ecosystems, and some of this can work.
Look, it's not going to be easy, but we need improved global awareness and education of the threat facing one of Earth's crucial life supports. Combined science, policy and local engagement is going to be essential if we are to save our precious mangroves.